Life Recorded is brought to you by the Spiritual Care Department at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center.
Hello, my name is Michael Meadows, and I am 29 years old.
Good. What's your date of birth?
July 7th, 1993.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you,
Not
thank
too
you.
long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah. Okay. And Mr. Marvin, can you introduce yourself as well?
Hello, my name is Marvin Oakes. This
Date
is
of
my
birth?
this is my son. Date of birth is 1/28/1950.
All right. And go ahead.
Right.
What's your relationship?
My son.
Yeah. And you play a very important role in his life, obviously as father, but we'll talk about that more in depth.
Yes.
But Michael, first of all, can you take us back to the beginning? I believe you were telling me years ago what kind of started for you, what things seemed a little off.
Yeah, things seemed a little off right when COVID got started, actually. I started having stomach cramps every day, and, you know, right when COVID was ruled a pandemic was like when it started happening, so it was like a good 6 months. You know, you couldn't really see a doctor unless you had something serious already going on, so, you know, I just toughed it out, you know, as I always do, you know, when a heavy task comes or whatever, and you know, so I moved to Texas, and you know, that's where I found everything out at. You know, I was getting in tune with a doctor here. I had some crappy health insurance too, and so, you know, I did away with it because I'm just like, well, you know, why should I still have this if I still have to pay full copays? Found a doctor that would see me without health insurance, but that was when I had got the call from a good job I was walking into over in Houston. So, you know, I just canceled the appointment and said, you know, I'll get in tune with a doctor when I get to Houston. And
So wait a minute. Okay, so you started having pain before you moved to Houston?
yes,
Wow, okay.
yeah, like it was, as one of my female friends described, it was like, as I described it to her and as she relayed back to me, almost similar to like period cramps.
Really?
Yeah, every day.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, but I was very determined to go down there, you know, I'm a truck driver, and a wrestler, you know, so I was going down there to train with Booker T.
Oh,
Yeah, so,
really?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
you know, so, I got the call from the job while I was in the truck, actually. I think I was headed to West Virginia that day, and, you know, she presented me with a good offer. I asked her, you know, what's the latest I could get down there, which was about a month after that phone conversation, maybe a month and a week roughly. And so, you know, it was a challenge because, you know, anticipation is deep sometimes. So, like, I was asking Dad and a few other people in my circle, I'm just like, you know, should I do it? You know, and, you know, most times, like, if you kind of have a lot of emotion towards something, or maybe even a little bit frightened, go ahead and do it because it's something major. You know, it's going to be big. So I had already been to visit Houston a couple times. I knew where I wanted to live, everything, did my research, you know, necessary research that I needed to do, and, you know, just put the ducks in order to get on down there. And I left in November of 2020. Yeah, it's a
How'd that
long
feel,
drive. It felt amazing, man. That was my first time living out of state, first time living outside of home, you know, like moving out, you know, having my own place. And it was just, Houston itself is beautiful. You know, don't get me wrong, Buffalo is beautiful too, you know, like, and when I went there, I told myself, you know, I'll never forget where I came from, you know, but I loved it. It just made me feel so good. Like, it would be times whether I was riding around the town, or definitely when I'd be sitting in my house and I would just look around like, you know, like, wow, like, this is me, you know, this is mine. Like, I actually did it, you know.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Marvin, how did you feel about him moving away from home?
I gave a decision to him.
Yeah.
personally, I didn't want him to go that far because he didn't have family down there. But he was going to a job and he was going to wrestle. So he was going to two things. I couldn't say no to him. Because I know when I played ball, my dad didn't say no to me.
Yeah.
So, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk about you playing ball.
Oh, y'all should see his trophy
I want to hear
cabinet.
your story soon.
Nah,
But let's focus
old.
on Michael right now.
Yeah.
He has a massive trophy
I
cabinet.
can imagine. Okay, we got to talk again.
Yeah,
soon.
at least 30 trophies.
All right.
No exaggeration, guys.
Good. So, I mean, Michael, you got some pretty big shoes to fill here.
Oh, yeah.
How did it feel? I know you said it was amazing and it was uplifting, but how did it feel to move away from family?
It was tough because I knew stuff was going to change, and it did. It was tough to the point where my first visit back here, first and only visit back here, was kind of scared to come back, because I compared it to an athlete that has been injured for a while, kind of like, okay, I know they still know who I am, but when I come back, like, do they really still care? Are they still gonna love me? And not speaking of my parents or nothing, but like friends, maybe a few family, because like if you have blessed to have a good set of parents, then they gonna stick with you no matter what, and relationships did change with some people, and it had to, I didn't realize that at that time, but yeah, it was tough being away, but at the same time, I knew that I was doing this for me, and it was just a positive move and whatnot to where I would flourish. So, whenever I would get down or in my head thinking like, man, I'm away from home, I would either video chat with somebody or just, think to myself like, hey, man, we doing what we wanted to do, and that's all to it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So okay, you're in Houston, and you finally are getting things going, and you're still in pain, right?
Every day.
Every day, and you finally take that step to get things checked out, right?
Yeah. So how that played out is actually I was here visiting when I had found the doctor that I was going to go to and health insurance and all that, and so I got that set up. Now, realistically speaking, it should have been the first thing I did after I got settled in, but just I was on the road with a truck driving from California and back, and all over the place. So I guess I kind of put it off a little bit, but at the same time, I had to go out there and get that money,
Of course, yeah.
But and then also at the same time, I still was paying attention to my body, and I like to educate myself a lot. Just a lot of aimless information, because you never know when you may need it or someone may need it. So I like to do that, and I was just looking online, like typing in my symptoms on Google and whatnot, just looking around, and for a while I thought it was irritable bowel syndrome and whatnot, and I did come across cancer, but no one wants to claim that, so I changed my diet a little bit and whatnot, but literally like nothing helped. Like marijuana would help a little bit, it was very soothing and whatnot, but realistically, like nothing was really helping. So I got in tune with the doctor. Thank you for what you did, Dr. Oliver Wu. And although it was a short time, but so I got in tune with him. Found out I was anemic from blood tests and whatnot that I did, and I had a colonoscopy scheduled for August 3rd, I believe it was. So time is going on. I'm doing my thing and whatnot, but it had got to the point where I couldn't even wrestle anymore because I would be in so much pain. Now sometimes, like, you know, like when I would be there and I'm exercising and whatnot, I just wouldn't focus on the pain. And while I would be in school, it would go away. But the second I would get back in my car, it would come back. And, you know, but I just have a lot of willpower, a lot of determination to just, you know, do what I have to do. And, but it almost was like a blessing in disguise. The fact that a lot of times I would be getting off of work late and wouldn't make it to school. And so I didn't advance to say, like, some wrestlers call it taking bumps in the ring and whatnot, you know, the moves and stuff like that. And so I feel like that was a blessing in disguise, because who knows, I could have maybe hurt myself more, you know. So yeah, so July 12th, I woke up and I was just like, okay. And I've been tired that whole weekend too. And I was just like, okay, you know, I was due to get back to work. Because as I stated earlier, my birthday is July 7th, so took the previous week off. I was going to go out of town, but it's like, you know what? I'm new to Houston. It's big here, so I could just find something to do here. I was so tired on my birthday. All I did was took myself out to eat to say I did something, and, you know, to say to myself that I did something for my day, and came back home and went to sleep. So July 12th comes. That was the day I was due to get back to work. And, you know, I woke up, I went to use the bathroom, and I came back in my room. And like I say, I have been experiencing stomach cramps and whatnot for a year at that point, or maybe a year and 4 months at that point. And a cramp came in. It was the worst cramp that I ever had, and it just got worse and worse and worse to the point where I was on my bed in the fetal position, couldn't walk. You know, now mind you, I know my parents were concerned because, not that I was moving away, and they're supportive of everything I do, not that I was moving away, but how far I was going, you know. But every time I looked up anything, you know, like places to live, whether it was North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, I always was taken back to Houston. You know, I mean, it was to the point where, like, I would pull up a random concert of one of my favorite artists on YouTube, where they at, Houston, or hear somebody talking about Houston on the radio. So I was just like, man, this is my sign, you know. So anyhow, thank God for God being him, and for good neighbors, because I made good connections with my neighbors there. And like I said, I couldn't walk, so it felt like if I would walk, like I would just tear my abdomen or something. So I'm laying there in a fetal position. I called my friend Maya to, because we have a very great connection and whatnot. So, and there's a lot of times, you know, she doesn't even know, but she'll know when she see this. She could just help me be at peace, you know, just from talking with her. So I called her to, you know, ease my mind. And I was just like, hey, you know, I'd let her know what's going on. And I was just like, yeah, I'm like, if this doesn't go away in, say, a half hour to 45 minutes, I'm like, I got to figure something out, you know, call 911 or call one of my neighbors. So it probably got to like 20 minutes later. I was like, yeah, let me not even let it go any further, because something is clearly wrong. And called my one neighbor, Veronica, and she usually wasn't in the neighborhood around this time of day, but she happened to be that day. And then she was like, okay, I'll get right there. You know, I told her, I'm like, hey, I can't walk. I think I need to go to the emergency room. She was like, okay, I'm coming now. And then I called my next door neighbor, Ash. So Veronica lived across the street. Ashley lived like right next door to me. Like, I opened my door, could walk straight over to her house.
This is Houston.
Yep, this is Houston.
Okay.
So I called her, let her know what's going on. She was at home. So I was like, okay, I'm about to crawl to the door and let you in. So I crawled to the door. I briskly, slowly slide off the bed, crawl to the door, let her in, and she come in. And, you know, thankfully for me, they both are nurses.
Oh, cool.
So they knew exactly what to do. And then when she had been in there with me for about 2 minutes, that's when Veronica got there. So they got me dressed because I was naked because I was about to get in the shower. And like I said, I was about to get in the shower and, you know, make breakfast or something and just go on about my day. So when the cramps started coming, when I realized I couldn't walk, you know, most times when stuff like that happen, you know, you might hit your job up first. So I text my boss immediately, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it in. I know I'm not going to make it in. I woke up and couldn't walk. So, and they understood. So they get me up, get me dressed, grab all my important items that I'll need. We go to the hospital. They do the CAT scan, all that good stuff. They thought it was ulcerative colitis. So I got in contact with my doctor. They had gave me some medications later on that day. It's probably at the hospital for about 3 hours. And that was, it was tough, you know, because I just, you know, I was just like, you know, what's wrong with me? You know, like, what's going on with me? You know, so come out the hospital. One of my good brothers, Eli, he was coming down that weekend. This was the WWE's Friday Night SmackDown, first show back on the road. It was in Houston, so he flew down. We went to that together, and that was when I realized that I wasn't getting better in terms of things going back to just the stomach cramps, you know, and, you know, then I could go get my colonoscopy and whatnot. So, you know, I was just drained that whole weekend. You know, just drained, tired, walking slow. I couldn't even go to the strip club with him. But I wanted him, because it was his first time in Texas, I still wanted him to have a good time. So I told him, listen, brother, I might take my car. It's right up the street. You know, you go do your thing and have fun. I'll be all right. You know, and so we did a little bit. Like, we went to the gun range and whatnot, the wrestling events. Saturday, we just chilled all day. He went out and got us food. And Sunday was when we went to the range, and we went to, I think it was the Saltgrass Steakhouse or something. They have so many steakhouses there, and almost all of them are delicious. But so Monday comes. This is July 19th. Monday comes, and it's time for him to come back here. I was so tired I couldn't even drive him to the airport. So I went half with him on an Uber, because the airport, technically, I live in a town called Webster, Texas. You know, when I get my mail and whatnot, you know, say Houston, you know, all the same thing. It was like 40 minutes from the airport. So I knew I couldn't make that drive. So I had told him, I'm like, hey, bro, I'm like, I'm a little extra tired right now. I'm like, I'll go half with you on an Uber to get you there. So we did that. And I just didn't want him to know how much pain I was in, because I know him being my brother, he would have wanted to stay and whatnot. But I knew he had to get back home to handle things here and whatnot. You know, because I was on the phone with my mom while he was still there and whatnot. Like, I knew I was going to go to the ER once he got to the airport. So, you know, I'm talking with my mom. I'm just like, Mom, like, it just hurts so much. Like, you know, she's like, well, maybe you should go back to the ER. You know, so I'm like, okay. At first I was against it, because I was just, you know, I was in denial. I'm like, man, they just going, you know, do some little bull crap test and say it's this and then try to send me home. I'm like, my colonoscopy is in like 2 weeks. I'm like, I'll just stick it out till then. But then, you know, as parents could do, you know, they know how to persuade you, you know, so she persuaded me politely into going to the hospital. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. Right when I was about to ask her, because also my mom, until she had to come see about me, she didn't fly. Terrible anxiety when it came to flying. And of course, once she got on the plane, she saw she was just in her own head. So her first flight was coming to see me. And so they were going to come down for my colonoscopy, that being my mom, my sister, and my niece, Erica. So it's like she was reading my mind before we got off the phone. Just as I was about to ask, just like with this recording, when I was about to say, hey, maybe we could do it today, and you was like, can we do it today? I'm like, right when I was about to ask her, do you think you could get down here tomorrow? She was like, I'm gonna call you back. Let me see if I could, reschedule this flight to tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So I get to the hospital, and at this point, as you know, and we'll get to this point in the story, but I'm fresh out of surgery, had surgery yesterday, so I was walking as slow as I am now. And this Good Samaritan, he just came and helped me, grabbed me, because he saw me getting out my car, just walking real slow. So he helped me in the hospital, give me a wheelchair and whatnot. I got in there, so they admitted me that time, and got the another CAT scan, MRI, and all that mumbo jumbo. And miraculously this time, they see an abscess on my colon. So I spent the night in a little ER room, off to the side. They got a room ready for me on the 6th floor at about 9 a.m. Went up to that room, and they had told me how they would be putting a draining tube in my lower abdomen. That was in me for 3 months. I was so happy to get that thing out, because it was made to drain the abscess. It felt like it was starting to drain me. So I get that done. I don't remember if my mom I think she got there after, or I think when I I came out of the operation room, and then she got there. So that 2 weeks in the hospital was hell, man. It was rough. My mom, sister, and my niece got down there that Tuesday. My brother Shannon came that Wednesday, and then Dad came that Friday, because I remember when I was on my way to the hospital the first time, he was putting my aunts in the nursing home, so it was just crazy how, all this stuff was going on at the same time and whatnot. So he got down there Friday, and like I say, it was rough. So it got to a point where I was constipated. I would feel the gas go right to my rectum, and it's trying to come out, but it wouldn't, and it would just shoot back up in me. And I could feel it, literally feel it from every point that is at. And then it was funny, because sometimes they would be trying to talk to me, but I couldn't talk because I was in so much pain. So they would just ask me yes or no questions. I told them, ask me yes or no questions. And I was just thumbs up, thumbs down in the middle. If I was in the middle of talking, I would do hand motions to help with the pain, just, that. And that's when they'd know, okay, we'll wait and give you some time. So it was rough, man. For me being constipated, I was bloated, out to here. They stuck the tube down my nose to the throat. I hope I never have to experience that again. That was tough, and then it was in there incorrectly, so they had to pull it out. But thankfully they didn't have to put it back in, because I had got the urge to move my bowels again, but it felt like I really might go this time, so at this point, I needed assistance getting out the bed, and I almost had to learn how to walk again, man. I hadn't walked in probably at least 3 days or something like that, and I couldn't use a regular toilet. I had to get the portable one in the room. So I go sit down on the toilet, and sure thing, I start moving my bowels, thankfully. And it's funny, hear my mom come with the joke. She was like, that tube scared the sugar honey iced tea out of you, huh? And I'm literally and figuratively. And so, that was that. So I went for a colonoscopy with them, And, I went to sleep, woke up, I'm laying on my side, and the doctor looking me right in the face. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, doc, I'm like, what is it looking like? And so he hesitated while having a very concerning look on his face. So at that point, that signals me to think like, okay, like, what is he about to tell me? So it's silent for maybe like 5 seconds. I asked him again, I'm like, hey man, like, what's going on? And he was just like, it's a possibility that you have colon cancer. And I'm still being cool, calm, talking how I am now. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, I forgot fully what else I asked him, but I remember I said, at this point I'm starting to cry, after we're talking about it. And I was like, well, do I have it or don't I have it? And he was like, we're gonna do some more tests to be sure, but right now it's looking like a 96% chance that you have it. So at that point I just fully started crying. And I was like, okay, I'm like, take me back to my room, please. So they rolled me back. I was already in the hospital bed. They rolled me back up to the room. My mom was in the hallway. She was already crying. And I think because, she didn't know yet, but she had that feeling because she said one of the nurses came and got her and said, hey, we need you to meet us on this floor so we could talk with you. And she, she knew like, okay, y'all want to talk with me, something must be going on. And it almost makes me tear up when I say this part, but as I was being wheeled past her, I apologized to her. I was like, I'm sorry, Mom. And I know I didn't have to apologize to her, but I felt like I should because, in that moment I felt like I should because I have 2 older brothers that passed away. My brother Jerome had, I forgot which type of diabetes, but he was born with it. He passed away at 21. And then my brother Sean passed away 3 years ago at the age of 41 from heart disease. So I apologized to her. Again, although I know I didn't have to, but I'm just like, I'm putting you in position to watch another one of your kids fight for his life. So we get to the room and, that was that. I'm chilling for a couple days and whatnot. And it's funny how I found out that I had colon cancer. So 2 nurses come in the room. I'm just chilling. Now, I held on to that 4%, because I'm a big believer in speaking things into existence and or not speaking them into existence, you know what I mean? So, they come in the room, they start talking to me. It was 2 of them. They talking to me and whatnot, and they started talking about treatments. And as soon as they said chemotherapy, I was like, hold on. I'm like, I have it? They look at each other, they look at me, and they was like, oh, nobody told you? And I'm like, no. And they was like, oh, sorry, but yeah, it's been confirmed. You have colon cancer. And I was just like, okay. So I talked with them a little bit more. Forgot where my mom was at. She came in the room. I just started crying to her. And I may have had maybe like 5 boo-hoo, why is this happening to me cries. But after that, even after that first cry, like I told you earlier, like I have my moments, but I do my best to keep my mental strong, and my mental has been strong through all this, and I just feel like that's how I've been, making it through, because I kept my mental strong and whatnot, and like I remember like right after I stopped crying, like I wiped my tears, and it was almost like I was a new person. I just told my mom, I'm like, hey, fight mode activated now. I'm like, I know what I have to do. So before I found out that it was colon cancer, I knew I was gonna have to come back home because just the way my body was feeling, like I just felt like I knew I was gonna have to be around my support system and whatnot. So, you know, we just how I am now. You know, can't lift anything over 5 pounds for the next 2 months or whatever. That's how it was then. And Paul, I tell you, I never felt so useless in my life, man. Not right now, but back then, because it was just like I had to use a cane for 3 months. For the first month, I couldn't dress myself or wash myself up because I was so weak. My mom and sister would wash me up. Most I could do was get under my arms and brush my teeth. Mom and sister would wash me up. Dad would pick out my clothes because that's where I get my stylish stuff from. So
I see that.
he would ask me what I want to wear. I'm like, I don't care. Just make sure it matched. And like I say, he's very stylish, so it would be matching. And he would get me dressed. And I still wanted to have a good time with my family while we were in another state in light of this happening, because like I planned on having Christmas at my house. I told them, like, hey guys, like y'all should come to me, next Christmas and whatnot, because I had spent from the holidays and my birthday and whatnot alone. But at the same time, I enjoy my own company as much as I enjoy other people's company, so I was cool with it. It was quite interesting, and I don't regret it. So, we drove around, showed them where wrestling school was at, where I worked at, went and got some cool food and stuff like that.
All right, so Michael, when we were talking before, you were telling me some really, really cool stuff, and part of that was how when you first got your diagnosis and it figured, like, wait a minute, I'm so young, like I feel like I'm the only one.
Right.
And can you take me back to that point?
Yeah, it's tough because I feel like no one at any age should have to go through this. I wish things like this didn't exist, but sadly they do. And I just felt like, I'm like, I was only 28 at the time, so I'm just like, it was just tough, man, because I'm just like, I have to like really monitor myself for the rest of my life and, go in, and I know to start with monthly to yearly, checks and whatnot, and it was tough, there was some times where, and I got through this, but there was some times where like, I didn't care if I lived or died because I just, sometimes I felt like I was dying, and so, but I snapped out of that real quick because like I say, I just did my best to keep the mental strong, whatever I had to do.
How do you do that though? It's some people can, some people can't.
Right.
Some people try to learn how to do that. Like what?
Right.
What advice would you give?
When you know that you have to do something, you just have to do it, especially for you, things, whether you lay down and give up or if you fight, some things are going to hurt either way, so why not fight, and like I say, for me it's almost like a switch, like it is tough sometimes to do, but like I say, I want to live a nice, long, healthy life. I don't have any children yet, but I would like to have some children and whatnot. So, I just flip a switch on and just, and not even just with this, but just, anything, whether it was when I was learning to truck drive or, exercising with wrestling, and it's like, push yourself to do 2 more push-ups or something, like I'm always willing to outwork myself, to elevate and just keep getting to new levels.
And it sounds like you've always been that way.
Yes.
So it sounds like Dad and Mom have a lot to do with that.
They do. I caught on to a lot of things at an early age, good and bad. But at the same, not from them, just, you know, the environment, but at the same time, you know, some things were God given. And I say that to say, like, some things I just knew, you know, like they would reinforce things. Like, say if it's something that I already knew, and they'd just be like, how does he know this? And they would just reinforce it. But yes, there are a lot of things that they have directly instilled in me, and a lot of things that they have instilled in me just from me watching them, you know, just from me watching them being good parents.
Yeah, I can totally tell, because before we started recording, you were pretty adamant that you wanted your dad to sit next
Yes.
to you.
Yeah, superstar. You know, he didn't really want to be in the limelight, so to say, but, you know, he's been here for me, you know, as I have for him. But, you know, just being a great father, even before the cancer, man, you know, just being a good dad, you know, and I model that on how I intend to, you know, treat my children and raise my children. Just, hey, like, I'm not gonna hold your hand every time. You do have to learn some things and go through some things, but at the same time, we're gonna have a good balance to where, you know, you'll know that I'm here for you, you know. Mm-hmm. So I thank him, you know, for doing what he was supposed to do when he was my age, you know. So with this happening to me, you know, I have a home to come back home to, and you know, he could support me mentally, financially, and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, that's my guy right there, my main man.
That's cool. Yeah. Wow. And I mean, unfortunately, we have to wrap up, but you know, I could talk to you forever, and we should do this again.
We will do it again.
Good. But before we wrap up, do you want to add anything or close with anything?
Yes, I just want to say to anybody that may see this, you know, whatever you want to do in life, whether you unfortunately have the task like I have of, you know, beating cancer or whatever, you put your mind to it, you can do it. You know, things don't happen overnight or whatever, you know, but, you know, just stay focused, stay true to yourself and whatnot, and you could get it done. You know, I'm fresh out of surgery, got surgery yesterday. I got a colectomy done, so I guess another unique thing about me, I don't have a colon anymore. But thankfully, you know, God's blessings, I could get my temporary ostomy bag reversed and whatnot. But yeah, you know, just stay strong, you know, and like, you know, you could get through anything that, you know, you're willing to work towards and whatnot. And, you know, I know we said at first we was going to wait to do the interview, but, you know, we wanted to do it now because, you know, it was just a good moment to capture this, you know, and I want you guys to like see me like this, you know. Mm-hmm. So then when we do the next one, when I'm fully healed and, you know, you see the bounce back, you know, I just pray that this is some motivation for you, you know, like if you're, you know, again, I wish I didn't have to say this sentiment, but cancer is a thing that lives in the world with us. And, you know, if you're getting ready to go in for treatment or whatever, you know, I hope that I could be a bit of motivation for you, or a lot, just, you know, hearing how I've handled it. And, you know, even when you guys see me on the bounce back, you know, and I'm an open book. I'm not shy with talking about this or whatever. With that being said, can I give them my email?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay. Well, my email is mr.meadows, Meadows spelled MEADOWS 93 @gmail.com. And I put my email in here for you guys because, you know, like I say, this has taught me a lot. You know, I've always been humble and appreciative, but this has taught me a lot, and there's a lot of things on this journey that I had to teach myself, you know, like, you know, it just wasn't shown to me. You know, so if I could just help you or, you know, whatever, like, don't hesitate to email me, or, you know, Michael Meadows on Facebook or whatever, like, just, you know, just so I can help you out and whatnot, you know, so you could just have all the knowledge, or if you just want somebody to talk to, you know, I'm here for you.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I thank you, Paul, you know, because this was like, wasn't nothing but the Lord, you know, like you came in the room. It's like right when he came in the room, like, you know, I thought you was going to see the other guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just started talking, wasn't even talking about this.
That's right.
But then just from I think we got on the topic because I think it was like a similar interest or something. I think I might have said something. You was like, hey, I do that. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So I thank you for this too, you know, for, you know, giving me this time and, you know, the platform and whatnot. And everybody at Roswell, you know, well, I'm not even going to like single anyone out, just everybody, whether it's my surgeons here, any nurse that ever looked after me, the doctors, and then even outside of Roswell, anyone that has ever given me some support, whether, you know, you gave me some good vibes and prayers one time or you've been with me every day. I thank you so much, because, you know I may make it look like a shoulder shrug or something, but it's tough, man. It's tough. But, you know, everything is good. You know, I'm headed to a good place. Yeah.
Life Recorded is brought to you by the Spiritual Care Department at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center.